Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's you and me, Bob, and Shelley.
Yeah, I was just going to say, this may be closer to the reality than I was thinking. I was trying to look. I think Rafi couldn't make it.
Well, we'll just have to vote. Unlimited power.
Yeah. Who cares about quorums or anything?
Right.
People here are the ones that are the shakers and the movers.
Yeah. Sounds like us. There's Will.
Hello.
How you doing, Will?
Doing all right. How are you doing?
Good, good. Is Shelley there?
She is.
I'm
You hiding
here.
out, Shelley?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
I'm going to promote you, Will, too,
Okay.
real quick
Sounds
here.
good.
There's Rafi. How you doing?
I'm good, and you?
Good, good.
Will, are you okay to let people in
Should be.
on
Yep,
the side?
I'm good.
Okay. I'll go ahead and jump off.
See you later.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Shelley.
Are y'all excited for our snowstorm?
I
You
guess.
think we're gonna get socked?
I've ever since I moved here, I've been hoping for a big snowstorm. So I'm probably in the distinct minority that's just hoping for it to be like,
Careful
Oh, I
what you
love
wish
it.
for. Just be
Yeah.
careful what you wish for.
That's my goal. I want it to be bad enough to where I'm like, you know what, that was a dumb wish. I take it all back.
It will happen eventually, if not this month. We had a few years back, we had a killer snowstorm in April. It was probably 15, 20 years ago. And I just remember all the leaves were on the trees. Spring was in the air. We got something like 1.5 feet of snow. It was really wet. It just busted trees. It was a mess. So
Yeah, I was looking at the historical ones, and I gotta figure out how to promote people real quick. I think that's it. All right. But yeah, and it was, I think 2003 was like 36 inches or something like that.
Yeah.
So something in that ballpark,
uh-huh. Well, you'll get yours. You'll see.
Yeah, in let's see, I think it was, March, St. Patrick's Day of 2003, we had 3 feet of snow, and it was gone in like 3 days. And I was working it, and I love this snow. I love moving it and just helping people out and stuff. So it's not a biggie. I enjoy, and we need the moisture, so I'm looking forward to it.
So
No
I got
blower
emails.
working, Bob?
What? Yeah, we spent all
No blower
day.
working?
We spent all day working on it. One of the cables broke, and it was just unbelievable. We had to take practically the whole thing apart, but we finally figured it out, and we didn't have to haul it over to a shop or anything and get advice. We just kept at it. So we're ready to rock and roll.
All right.
So I got emails from Rachel and Cara that they both wouldn't be here.
Rachel and Cara, that's it.
Yeah, and then Joe said he is running a bit late, but go ahead and start without him. He's still in the water board meeting.
Yeah.
So I think,
I think
correct me
we've
if I'm
got
wrong,
enough for
but
a
I think
quorum.
we're good to go unless
Yeah,
unless I'm missing somebody.
What do we got? 1, 2, 5 out of 7. Hi, Marissa. Hi, Logan.
Hey, Mike.
Let's do
yeah,
it,
we're
Bob.
in for, we're enough for a quorum, so I think I will call the meeting to order at 6:32. And we can get started. I'll do a roll call. Bob Stephenson, I'm here, Chairman.
Mike Chisholm here.
Logan
Will
Dunning
Charles
here.
here.
Logan Dunning here.
Marissa Lee's here.
Oh, Raphael here.
Yes, great. Okay. I guess I just need a motion to approve the minutes. Do we have any amendments or addendums or anything to the minutes from last meeting? I think it's pretty straightforward.
I move to approve.
Do
Second.
I have a second?
Second, Bob.
Thanks, Logan. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The minutes are approved. Okay. I think the first item on the agenda is the Pollinator garden. And looking at all of that, were you able to check out the email that we forwarded from Dana on what she was thinking the cost might be?
Yes.
And do we have any discussion around that?
Let's see. Is under spring 21, she has estimated cost $2,500. Is that the total for the work from Kenton?
Yes, I'm trying to pull that up, but basically my understanding is that Kenton will draw up the plan and have a certain amount of time to work on site if needed. And from there, so that would be, I think, basically the $2,500. But that can be broken down. Let me see, I gotta get down here a little bit. $1,500 for the plan, which was pretty much what we were thinking would be the first step.
Right.
And then after that, he would put some more time in as needed, probably in the fall, to spend extra time, and probably some of that's time that he's already put in gratis. And then he will then work with the volunteers on the day that we actually do some of the planting, is my understanding, and that's another $500. So I would say that the minimum we would need to approve tonight would be the $1,500 to make sure that we have the plan in place by next fall, and we can go from there. Do I have any other thoughts on that, or what are you thinking?
I mean,
If I,
please.
yeah, if I go real quick. So as far as the so as far as kind of any of this in general, just so everyone's on the same page, because it's not written in our budget, what we would end up doing is going to council for approval on any of this after whatever decision is made tonight, basically to get that funding, basically the thumbs up to go ahead with whatever we're planning on doing. My thought, as well as kind of the my director, I ran this kind of by him today. Our kind of thought is that I feel like personally our funding for things should probably more so go to, hard costs more than soft costs for a project. So, for instance, like if the first kind of iteration they brought forward, it was kind of like a butterfly and some logs and things like that for, things that are tangible that, would be on the ground that, KAB could say, hey, this is what we paid and supported for, more so than soft costs like designs and things like that. I don't know what y'all's opinion on that is, but that was our thought as far as from the city's perspective.
Thanks, Will. You sort of got toward my question is, I'm sort of new to all this, but is that even is that a reasonable cost for a master planner to come in and give us a quote? Is that a decent quote? I mean, I don't know. I don't have anything to compare it to. So he's charging $500 for a 4-hour afternoon. I mean, that's a little steep, but maybe that's reasonable. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think some background on this, and I'll defer to you, Will, on, the hard costs and stuff, but basically he has been doing a lot with Dana to get this project going. And when we got involved in this, my understanding is that we were gonna work with the pollinator, with the plants, get those things going, and then be able to help out with some of the other aspects of it, with volunteers and stuff, to keep it going and to keep it moving.
Right.
And then where a lot of this is going now is not just the pollinator garden, but getting rid of the bluegrass and putting in more of a natural element around that whole front there.
Right.
And that involves developing a plan and utilizing that. So probably that part of it is low for a plan of this scope covering that much area. I could check with Annie and see, but from what I've understood, these things can get really off the charts pretty quick. And so then what I think Kenton is doing at this point is he's already put in a lot of time. And So Dana is putting these out there as, you know, figures so that he can be involved and get paid for more time beyond just the basic plan and stuff, and make sure that we get off on a good start for the whole overall area. So from what my experience has been with landscapes and beds and plans and stuff like that, I remember we were putting in a bed at Pirates Cove one fall, and it seemed to me we were paying like $2,000 for maybe half this area just for the plan, you know. So the overall costs are pretty decent. It's just that we might want to make it more where the costs actually are.
Got an
You know.
idea.
I have,
Go
okay.
ahead.
Yeah, I just have a question regarding like the list of stuff that he charges us for, like in the plan. He says axonometric, which are 3D drawings for publicity and fundraising. But I don't know, do we need fundraising, or what is this? What are those 3D drawings for? You know, because I'm sure because it's 3D and ask for like a lot of skills, it's part of like the 1500, which are, you know, we might be able to take this off, because I just don't really know what it's for.
I think it's pretty flexible. My impression is he's done an awful lot for free.
Yeah.
And the notion of getting some compensation for what he's done so far and what he's going to do in the future is probably a moving target. I don't think they've got a granite budget together. But as far as the concerns about soft and hard costs, I'm okay with that. I mean, if it makes more sense, but I'm just making a note to myself, he's going to have to seed it eventually. And that's going to be a big project. And that's his technique that he's talking about. So to me, we could say, we'll give you $1,000 for seeding. That's measurable, it's black and white. And that's probably a deal, because I think that's well below what a landscaper would charge. She mentioned tools for the volunteers, like $300 for the tools. That's real. Shovels, picks, and all that. That's legitimate. And I also thought that the education for the volunteers, which could be part of KEB, could make it open to the public.
Yeah.
For him to explain the pollinator garden and to show the volunteers how to maintain and weed, I think that's worthwhile. So I just sketched out $1,500, $1,000 for seeding, $300 for tools, $200 for education. If we have to go back and go to the city every time we want to spend $1, I think we ought to err on the side of a little more, because I don't want a nickel and dime city council and go back every time we want $500. And I don't think they want that either. So that's just one way I could see us moving it forward, getting back to her and saying, here's what we approved. She's going to take whatever we give her. She's going to put it to good use.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to satisfy all the interests, and that's just my thought.
I see he has $500 for training and education. Is that what you're referencing, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think what he had was a like a half day,
Yeah.
both training the volunteers, and I want to be a volunteer, so I want to be trained.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking the general community could show up as a KEB educational opportunity
Sure.
to learn what they can do in their backyard or join in the volunteer effort or whatever.
So is it just what's the process for that? Will, is it just that we submit a proposal, a request?
Yeah, basically, I mean, we did a kind of a similar thing for the grant last year,
Yeah.
where it's basically, hey, this is what we're gonna be, applying for. Whatever probably money that Dana wants. We probably need something from her that kind of has a kind of formal, like, here's what we're looking at. That's pretty much the majority of it. Joe, if I could ask you, what's your opinion, kind of more on, like I said, kind of the soft costs of this, of kind of picking, this kind of a consultant basically for this project, and kind of, you think council's take on that?
I guess, no. I guess normally I would think of projects that require hiring a consultant and a plan and working. We would want to probably consider those as a council, and how they fit into kind of a master plan and all of that. I do think this is kind of an exception because it's fairly small, and we're maybe into something that it goes beyond kind of the volunteer skills we can get. But I do see the point of maybe not looking at soft costs on something like this. But I would certainly, I'd be happy to bring it up at a council meeting and see if there was some interest in discussing whether we'd want to fund that part of it too. But that's a little harder than buying the actual seeds that need planted, and those kind of things. I think would require a little more talking with council.
So Bob and Michael, do you know how are they getting the funding? Kind of like, because like I have that letter that she had written up previously for us. So like the metal edging for the park centerpiece, garden bed, and that kind of stuff. How are they not wanting that money yet because they need this plan first? Is that kind of the idea? Or
we put the
Mike, you
kibosh
can
on it.
correct me if I'm wrong, but when we met that day, Logan, you can probably know too, the bid for that edging in that butterfly garden was like outrageous, like $6,000. And we said, no, we can't do that. And she wasn't expecting that we would do that, So the next thing was, then how are we going to proceed? And I see now that she's got the $2,000, planting materials and plants for the Prairie Meadows is $2,000. So she is actually getting other funding and other plants for the actual pollinator plants that we were expecting looking at. I think what's happened is this has kind of expanded when they found out that we would be there to support them. They were just looking at doing the garden and everything. Then when Parks heard that we could get them some money, and Kenton and Dana had been talking about expanding, more to a natural area where the turf is now, that once it's established shouldn't need that much water. And so we're kind of, like Mike said, taking a flexible approach here. And my point is that if we have to go to council, I was thinking that, you know, we would just be acting on a budget that we would just have the money there. But if we want to go to council, I think we should probably ask for the $4,500. And if and make that one lump sum to cover the whole process, which would include planting and planning and all of that, because this is going to be a lot different than just yanking everything out and putting stuff in. It's going to be a specific, it's going to be kind of a demonstration project too. So I think we can really get some real benefits from the project and from the demonstration part and from the volunteer part of it, and move forward with that. So if we put it in that context, you know, in talking to Dana about, you know, the gloves and that portion of it, I think that we can ask like A&A and get a lot of things maybe from other sources to cover some of that. And I don't know, Joe, but if we emphasize that we're not the sole backing of this, that there are other sources that she's getting for funding, would that make it more appealing to council to get, you know, to approve this money? In that it's almost like having a matching grant type of thing. Would that make that more appealing, or do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't know. I don't know that makes, you know, that makes a huge difference. I know council is very excited about, you know, or the sustainability projects and Pollinator. So this does fit within our, you know, certainly within our scope. I think part of the within the kind of the thing we're aiming at. I think part of the challenge here is this is, you know, this is kind of a new territory for KEB to be getting into, and so I think that's, you know, that's good, is that you guys are, you know, generating some new ideas. But I think that would I think what it ultimately does is probably generate some discussion on the council side of, you know, is this within the scope of KEB? Is this something we want to fund? Is this something we want to expand KEB's responsibilities on? And I really do think that's a conversation that we do need to have, because I would like to see, you know, I'd like to see KEB released to do more stuff like this. So I think if we approach it from that angle, like, here's the project, you know, these are the stakeholders, KEB wants to do this, is this within their purview? And do we want to expand and allow KEB to take on more projects like this? Then I think that's a really, really good discussion for city council to have. And I do think there'd be some receptivity to even expanding kind of the vision for keeping Englewood beautiful.
I add my 2 cents. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate that insight. I'll speak for myself, maybe for KEB, but the $10,000 that we got in a grant, that's not tax money. That's grant money that KEB applied for the grant and got the money. Well, that money got incorporated or wrapped up and went into the city budget. That's fine. But if it's a case of everything we want to do has to go back to the city council, we're left in a position of saying, well, then let's just let's just spend everything we can as fast as we can because we can't nickel and dime these efforts. Or frankly, why bother writing a grant? Because if Keep America Beautiful has other grant opportunities, personally, I lose enthusiasm for applying for that grant if it's going to get gobbled up in the city budget, and then I have to go ask for permission to buy a tree or to work with a pollinator garden. So I think you hit the nail on the head. The real question is, what's the role of KEB? And I'll respect the city's position, so I'm not, arguing one way or the other, but I think we're trying to get proactive, get some money, get some projects going. And I don't know if the old model works. If you're right, I mean, here's $10,000 and it's a hot potato. We don't know, whose money is it and who has the authority to spend it. So that's a challenge.
Well, and I think the I think you're right on. Does the old model work and all of that? That's a totally valid question. I think the problem is that we're into 2021, and it's not that it got sucked up by the city's budget, it's that it didn't get budgeted. So we already made decisions on the budget way back in September, October. So it's not that the money has disappeared or anything. It's just since this plan wasn't made before the budgeting process was completed and got into the budget, now what we have to do in order to appropriate the funds is to go back and have council do a supplemental appropriation. So it's not, I wouldn't see it as, council trying to withhold the money or not. It's more of a timing issue. So for example, if you were planning this right now for 2022, we could make sure that it got incorporated into the budget for next year. But since we need the money more, sooner than that, we don't budget expenditures on the fly generally. So those do require a supplemental appropriation. Am I understanding the concern right, Will?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the KEB should have the funding, the dollar number to cover this project in their current budget. It's just that it wasn't talked about as being part of the budget, if that makes sense.
Yes, exactly.
So instead of us doing project A, we're now saying we want to do project B. And it just needs to be, thumbs up and okayed by council.
Yeah, good.
Well, another problem or good thing is, as an example, Meg, our past chairman of KEB, and I forget her last name, Bob.
Griffin. Donaldson.
Yeah, Donaldson. She's working with the Cushing Park Neighborhood Group. In fact, she organized it, and they do a lot of stuff. I saw them out in the park about 6 months ago. They were cleaning up, and I talked to her and I said, geez, it'd be nice if KEB could support you guys and help you out, because we're all on the same page, and they're more grassroots than we are, so to speak. And so she sent me an email here this week and said, hey, I wanted to keep in touch. We have some ideas for cleaning up the park. Would KEB be able to support us, i.e. a little bit of money, $200-300, if we were going to buy seed packets for people to plant wildflowers in the alleyways or in the yard, or if we were going to buy t-shirts, or just to support them in spirit. But that to me seems impossible, because for KEB to say, okay, Meg, we can get you $300 to support your efforts, we got to do it a year in advance. And you got enthusiasm and you got people wanting to do things, and if you say, well, this is the way it works, I think you lose a lot of enthusiasm that way. I'd love us to be able to respond, and she's not asking for a lot of money, but a little bit of money could go a long way with a group like that. So it's just another example of what is the role of KEB, how much latitude do they have, and I'd love the council to talk about it and give us some direction, because I would love to see us work with all neighborhood groups in town, just like we're talking about, cooperate, volunteer, Cushing Park this month and some other neighborhood next month. But that's sort of all in the idea right now. There, you know, it's potential, but what do I say to Meg? You know, I'd say, forget it. We can't help you. It's going to take too long to run it up the flagpole.
Yeah, I think we're wrestling with the same root problem. I really think in some ways the model, you know, the Keep America Beautiful, keep Englewood beautiful is something that a lot of cities around the country are struggling with. Some have, you know, renamed their you know, their Keep Englewood Beautiful equivalent boards to more sustainability oriented boards, and they have a little more, you know, a little more freedom and those kind of things. And I frankly think that's the conversation we do need to have. So you have more flexibility, and possibly more funding and all of those things. So we're kind of struggling, I think, along with a bit of an outdated model as it's kind of a general rule. And I would love to bring this up at council and see if it's, and I know it's part of the broader conversation too with our sustainability master plan, those kind of things. So, but you're asking really good questions. I wish I had a better answer for you, and that we could pull the trigger on everything right now. But cities work kind of, you know, slow and clunky, and we got to figure this stuff out. So
I get it.
I mean,
Anyway,
what's holding us back? Is it
Yeah, I'm
our
sorry, we
is it
got
our
way off here.
bylaws?
I mean,
Mike.
it, you know, as far as kind of, this isn't just a KEB thing. You know, all boards and commissions and everything are advisory boards to council, and they're basically representatives of the council, right? If you think about it in that way. So anything that we do reflects on council. So anything we do should be approved or consented by council. So that's why the budget goes out, you know, in September, October, right? That's them giving the stamp of approval on, hey, the things on this line item, those things are good to go. That's where it gets tricky, though, is you're right, Michael. You know, when you're trying to be a reactive board, it makes it difficult because, you know, it's like, I mean, this thing with Meg, I'm sure, I don't doubt we could, you know, facilitate that, but it probably will take, you know, a month or two to give them funding for whatever project they wanted to do. Same as this, you know, the stuff we're talking about now with this pollinator garden.
Well, yeah, the pollinator garden, as I see it, and, you know, I think it's a broader thing now, is a project. And this is what Joe is trying to address here, that last fall when the budget was going through, we weren't addressing this because it wasn't even on our radar. We were looking for some way to support, you know, bigger things and get us some name recognition and do some positive things in the community. Then when we found out that this was sitting there as an orphan, and, you know, I mean, what I thought we were getting into was buying some plants and setting up a volunteer system to make sure that the pollinator gardens worked and that came into fruition. Does that make sense to everybody? And what happened was, in addition to that, we came back, and part of this was looking at that whole lot and turning it into a sustainable entity, a sustainable area, a sustainable park. And I think that we can still do that, and we have the money. It's not the dollars. Thank God you boosted the budget for this, but it's actually, since it's kind of a capital project, if you will, it's a new thing, we have to jump through these hoops to make that possible. Now, what Michael's talking about with the the neighborhood groups, this could really be a good thing if, you know, as in talking to Tony Arnaldi about the garden or the volunteers and stuff, Madeline is actually working with various neighborhood groups, and maybe we could utilize some of our funds to support things within the neighborhoods. Now, we haven't made any promises or any commitments to do something like that, but I think that could fit in with our what would you say, our priorities or our goals or whatever. But I think we're going to have to make sure that council is aware of what we're thinking of, and, you know, that we are the entity that could move this forward. Does that kind of sum up what you're saying, Joe?
Yeah, I think you're right. I really do think this will require a conversation with council, and I think it'll, you know, I think it's going to have a favorable outcome for KEB. So I'm not too worried about it. I don't, but yeah, it's going to just take a little time to work it through the system.
You know, maybe one thought on this kind of is,
Yeah.
I'm wondering if maybe these don't all need to be separate. You know, maybe it's something where, you know, we ask for, you know, a special appropriation or whatever it's called from council that basically is, you know, let's say $8,000 for, you know, hard costs for various neighborhood projects throughout the city. You know, and then say this funding could go to neighborhood projects for, you know, X, Y, and Z materials. So, you know, we would just kind of write all that out. So, you know, safety equipment for like gloves and shovels and, you know, or, you know, and like that. And so that way we don't have to go back, you know, multiple times, but it's also a little more fixed than, you know, us just kind of doing what we want. As far as the impression goes, not so much, you know, if that makes sense.
I would be open to that. My thinking, and you know, I'm kind of pulling this out of the air and thinking things through as we're talking about it. I think we should decide on a dollar amount that we want to approach council for a supplemental funding for this specific Depot Park project, and have Joe put it on an agenda either at a study session, probably at a study session first, so that we get some idea, and then so that, you know, what we need to be doing this spring doesn't get delayed, and so that we can be aiming towards a specific project in the fall to carry on the bigger vision. And that's what I'm trying to get to. And then we can look at the specific ways to fund some other things and support other neighborhood groups or requests for various things that would help out the neighborhoods or whatever. You know, I mean, I haven't looked that much on what Meg was saying, but I saw, you know, some dumpsters or, you know, well, now we're getting into some other departments, bailiwicks too, and park benches and things like that. But, you know, let's take that as it is, but we have to do something around this specific uh, Pollinator Garden Project, Depot Project. I think we need to have something come out of here tonight.
Do we need a more formal line item from Dana? Is that what
Um,
Will was saying?
I think I mean I don't think we need that to approve like a number that we're willing to spend. I do think we should maybe get pretty concrete between this group of what exactly we're willing to spend money on. And then
I agree.
more so like it yeah, not so much like, hey, we want to buy 8 seed packets, but like, hey, this is the stuff that we're comfortable spending the money on, like this type of stuff. And then I think that would be good for tonight to, vote on that with a number that we're willing to go up to.
I think too, that if we came up with a number and we expressed to Dana what Will just said, that, for example, we're leaning towards hard items, we're leaning towards specific components like tools, seating, etc. She could come back to us with a proposal or a plan. In other words, how am I going to spend the money? And so then Joe could have that. If the council had a question of, well, what are they going to spend that money on? He could have a checklist and say they're going to spend it on X, Y, Z. But I think Dana would respond to that if we said we need more specificity, and we've got a dollar amount approved, or we're trying to get a dollar amount approved contingent upon very specific items of where that money's going to go.
That works
Yeah.
for me.
All right.
Yeah.
Are
If
you
you
guys
will-
comfortable with doing hard costs? Would that, if we're gonna do, the thing is, if we're gonna do soft costs, and I think we could approve that conditionally still tonight, I would want to run that by our city attorney's office, only because when you get into kind of these contractors and things like that, like for instance, like our HHW event, our hazardous waste, we get out 3 bids for those, or we take bids in for them, and I don't know where that process lies with this process, because it's not our project, right? We're basically providing a
Exactly.
grant for somebody.
That's a good point.
So I don't know at all what that would look like. Hard costs are easy. Those are very much, yes, we're giving you money to buy things. When it gets into the contractors and things like that, I would need to look into it more.
But
Well, and is education a hard cost? Because I think that really parallels our purpose. So again, if in the Pollinator Garden KEB was able to provide an educational program and promote it, I think that's a win-win.
I think that one's a little more easier to get behind.
Good.
Yeah, if we wanted to leave that in there, I think we could make that work.
And what's that? 500?
Yeah.
And then we add, if you remove the design, the consulting, remove that $2,500. What are we sitting at? 3,300?
I think personally, I don't want to speak for all of you, but I think personally, if you guys wanted to say, hey, we're willing to spend, $5,000 on, hard costs for this project.
for the project,
That way we're not, pinching ourselves if, it comes out to
Right.
$3,301 or something,
Yeah.
We could tell Dana more specificity before we release any money, and we could give Joe a status report as we go through to say, well, we completed this month, this is what we spent. So we'd have that accountability linkage that we're doing what we said we were going to do with the money. And it's not buying snow cones or, something
Yeah.
that we never talked about. And
It's
that, I think
Not
that's
sending
reasonable.
Will home for vacation.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think I
well,
want to go there right now with all their power outages. I think I'm comfortable here in the 4 feet of snow.
Yeah. No, but I think you're onto something there, Will. If we ask, I was thinking of the $4,500, which would cover the 2,000 that she's asking for plants and the 2,500 for all of the rest of it, and ask for that dollar amount from council, because that gives us some wiggle room that we can go to, and then take Mike's specificity, whatever,
Specificity.
and build more around that, so that we need to get this done. And I think we can make it look good without breaching all of the rules on contracting and stuff like that. But if we got, like, say, a $4,500 thing to encompass, plants and education and things like that, then we could turn some of that money back if we didn't have to use it,
I'd go the other way,
But we
Bob.
could also keep
I'd go
that
up to
going.
5,000.
Yeah, well, 5,000 is good. Then Joe can go and start the discussion with council, and we can get moving, and then Dana and all of us can work it out, and make sure that we use the language that makes it work, So I think that's a great idea.
Well, I think if you stick to the hard costs, that simplifies things on council side, because then we're not wondering who the contractors you're hiring and how, all those kind of things. So I don't think that's gonna raise any, the $5,000 would raise any red flags or any concerns from city council if it's just going to actual project materials.
Yeah, and we can ask for that and go from there, and make sure that we dot all the I's and cross all the T's, so that there are no questions of legality or, whatever, propriety or whatever you would call it.
Bob,
And
one thing I would volunteer to do, because I was just thinking of Joe's position in this. I would be very willing to work with Dana to put together a very simple budget and a time frame. In other words, we don't give her $5,000 up front. She needs to do some cash flow in there.
exactly.
Say, this is the progress. At this month, I'm going to need $1,000 to buy the tools or whatever. Then that just becomes another accountability tool again. That
Yeah.
if she comes back and says, well, I spent more on tools than I thought, we'd say, sorry, we approved X amount. And she's not going to be hard to work with, but I think it would help her thinking too, to know this is approved, this is the plan, and is the city going to write one check or 3 checks, or, how does that work?
Well, we have to get the appropriation. We have to get the money, and then we can figure out how to work it through the budget and everything. And if we have to prove that it's all hard costs, then that's what we'll spend and that's what we'll do. But we can do that. And go from there. So I'm thinking of a motion of asking for a $5,000 special appropriation for this project. And then we can keep moving and go for that. Would somebody like to make that motion?
If we could just add into that motion for just so it's on the record for hard costs and permanent improvements for the
Yes,
for the park.
yes.
Come on, somebody.
5,000 for hard costs and improvements. Okay,
And education, you might spell, because
Yeah.
we do have some education dollars in there.
yeah.
Do we have the training in there too that he's talking about?
I think that can all go under education, right?
It was-
Yeah, we can finagle that.
It is, yeah.
Yes. Do I have that motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion, Bob. So moved.
So Logan, you would make a motion of $5,000 for hard costs, improvements, and education?
Correct.
Does that satisfy everything, Will?
Well, we need a second and then a
Yeah.
a
But
very
before we
formal
get
vote.
to that point,
I'll second it.
All right.
Michael seconds it.
Then we need
All in
those-
favor?
Yeah.
Or any more discussion first? All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, the motion is carried unanimously. Great.
Great.
Joe, what will your track be on this? Will you be able to put this on a council agenda?
I'll let staff bring it up to council.
Yeah.
We'll take care of that.
Yeah, it'll
Okay.
come more from my side. We'll yeah, Michael, if you want to work on if you can get that done quicker than
I will.
not
I will.
what I'll do is I'll write kind of a letter saying this is what you guys had directed staff to spend money on, and then we'll take that to council. and get
I'll
it on
write
the
a
agenda.
synopsis and shoot it to you, Will, and then you can edit it or
Yeah,
ask me to
we can work
change
on it.
something if you want.
Perfect.
But I can do that pretty quick.
I have
Okay,
a
great.
process question real quick.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm new here. How quickly can a supplemental get done? Is that a request and it can get turned around in the same, council meeting that same night?
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm not sure exactly how the supplementals always work, but I mean, what I would assume is we put it on the agenda and it's taken care of that night, either yes or no.
Yeah, this-
correct me if I'm
this
wrong,
would-
Joe.
No, this would not be a full supplemental since there's no appropriation going along with it. It's just a budget modification really. So I think that can be done in one night in a resolution.
So we could get it within a month easily, couldn't we?
I'd probably put it on that line of a month,
Yeah,
because it has to get on the council agenda,
yeah,
and those.
yeah, that's
And I'll
what
warn
I'm
you,
thinking.
we're slammed right now. So we have a
Yeah.
lot on the agenda these next few weeks. So
Yeah, you've had a few things on your plate, huh? Yeah. Yeah. Then I think that takes care of the funding and all of that. The other question that I had, and maybe we don't need to spend that much time on it, but how do we appropriate that Keep America Beautiful software? Is that an app that somebody can put on their computer to utilize, Mike? Do you know?
Yeah. Basically, we've already
And-
paid for it because Englewood paid our fees or our dues to Keep America Beautiful. So that software is for ours to use, and they would love us to use it. So
Okay,
that just
Can
requires.
Logan,
Yeah.
can Logan get that from you? And we can start working on how we might utilize that.
Sure.
And then even if it's just to keep track of the volunteer hours and things like that. But I'd like to make sure that we get that utilized if possible, okay?
What I'll do is I'll call up Jason first
Yeah,
and just
if,
get him up to speed. And then I can either get Logan, I assume you're willing. We're gonna-
Hey, CC
kinda-
Marissa too.
We're sort of railroading you into this here. Anybody else want to
Well,
help out?
he
Ultimately-
mentioned that he had some expertise. That's why I'm picking on him.
Okay, I know, I love it. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Bob.
Let me start with Jason because I think it could be as simple
Yeah.
as Logan and Jason having a conversation.
Exactly.
It was pretty basic, and I know Jason at Keep America Beautiful would be happy that we want to pick up the ball and use it. I really think it could be a win for all of us. But let me call Jason first.
Okay.
Logan, I'll keep in touch with you, and I'll try to get that handoff set up so you can go to school.
That works for me.
Michael, maybe
Great.
give me a day on that, because I think I might be able to do it since I'm kind of like the admin on our side.
Okay.
I'm pretty
okay.
sure I can make everybody an account.
Could we
on
set up
there.
a phone call, Will? Maybe get you,
Yeah.
Logan, and Jason together, and
Yeah.
me if possible, but I'll be a spectator more. But let me start with Jason, and that would be great if we could get everybody in the same conversation.
Yeah.
I'm in.
For anybody who wants to, any of you guys.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah. If you would keep us
Marissa,
all informed, that would
Rafi,
be great.
you guys are invited if you want to learn. The other thing that we could do at another meeting is Jason could join us on a meeting like this, and he could answer questions and explain firsthand what
Yeah.
what it does and that might be a good thing for all of us to listen to him explain it.
Or
might
we
be a
could
nice
just do it with a specific people that are interested. So,
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll chase him down and have a conversation with him, and I'll keep Will in the loop and Logan, and then maybe we can do all of the above. Maybe we could get
Yeah.
that conversation
Raphael,
going.
I
and
don't. You're not on there yet, are you?
What's
The
that?
fur-
Me?
Yeah.
No, I have no actually clue of what you guys are talking about, but I don't want to bring the conversation.
That KAB volunteer portal that we used for like the Leaf and Tire event, and
Yeah.
the HHW event last year.
Okay.
Yeah, I
so
think
you already-
Rachel's the only other one that was on there.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure I can do it. So
All
should
right.
work.
Well, I'll
okay.
strike up the band. We'll try to get the
Yeah.
conversation going.
Yeah. Because we don't want to drop the ball on that.
Okay.
I don't want to overwhelm anybody either, but okay. Now we have this worm casting webinar scheduled
Yep.
for April 7th.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
that's
He's on board.
did you have a time in mind?
No, I was
Friend?
because he's pretty busy with work, so I told him just give me a date and then we'll figure the time a little bit, later. I'll ask him this week, but I just didn't want to overwhelm him with like give me everything right now, So
No,
just
but
like-
I think if we say, would 6:30 be good after dinner or
it's
7?
it's probably gonna be after work because he works during the day, so
Yeah.
I assume it's gonna be after anyway. And I'll try to propose him to do it like at dinner time or like something like that because it would have more people available. I'm sure he'll
Yeah.
understand.
Well, the thing that I'm thinking is we only have about a month. And
Yeah.
I'd like to get a time. We just need to make sure the people would understand what they're signing up for
Mm-hmm.
and a specific time. If you could get that in the next couple days, then we can get some publicity going on that and drum up some support. Okay,
Okay, I'll ask you to give me a time this week. Yeah, I will.
okay.
Also on that same vein, could either you or him write up maybe just like a one
Little teaser?
paragrapher, yeah, of what it is. Yeah, because I was trying to write one myself, and I was like, I don't know the first thing about worm casting.
I'll ask him, and I'll make like a little graphic or something for just for the ad if you want to run it. I'll make
Okay.
something with him. All right.
Great.
Are we hosting that? Is that a KEB formal event? Sorry, first time.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so it'll be like a Zoom kind of educational webinar.
Great.
And
I'll be there.
I mean, I don't know. He probably knows, but I have no clue how to set up like a Zoom webinar. But I guess we can figure this out together, right?
Yeah, that'll I'll take care of the
Okay.
setup for that part.
Okay. Cool.
And I'll give Keely a heads up and see if she wants, or maybe has some ideas or can help out or whatever, just so that she knows what's going on, because I think she'd like to stay in touch. So if you hear from her, that's where that's coming from. Okay.
Okay.
Would you guys like me to set this up on the KAB volunteer website also? I mean, obviously it's not really a volunteer, opportunity, but I
Yeah,
mean,
but it's a great
it might be a good
publicity
way to,
deal.
Yeah, it's a good.
yeah, it might be
we should. Yeah, we should.
okay.
Yeah.
I will do that.
You should KAB.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's volunteer.kab.org. That's the website that I'll try to see if I can get you all whatever it's called, like our organization contacts for. It's really, really nice website though for figuring out kind of volunteer opportunities that are going on in your area. I think we're the only ones in
Yeah, that's pretty
Colorado right now.
Yeah,
But-
looks like it.
Yeah, but I mean, it has a lot of stuff in there, which is cool.
This is pretty
Nice.
neat.
Okay, great. Okay, do we have any other items? Anybody want to bring anything to our attention?
Done a lot.
Okay, we've done what I really wanted to get accomplished. I will give Dana a heads up, Mike, and we
Okay.
can go from there and we'll get this moving
We
forward.
can turn that around pretty fast.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So you will probably have something from Will in the next week, Joe.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. All in favor? I need a motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:36.
Motion. Motion.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sign off.
Thanks, you guys.
It was good to see
Yeah,
you.
appreciate
All
it.
right.
Good meeting.
Talking to you.
Thank you much.
Bye-bye.
Have a good
Okay.
night.
Bye-bye.
You too.
Everyone stay warm.
Yeah,
All right.
stay
talk to you later.
healthy too.